Monika, thank you very much for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Thanks very much for inviting me, for the invitation and for the organization of this conference with this intriguing program. Thanks to you, the audience, that you're staying here with me. I'm glad to be at the birthplace of democracy and philosophy, where the art of rhetoric and debating, meaning using language in a compelling way, was ignited and further developed by the curious and hungry minds of humans. Thanks also to my previous speakers for very valuable insights, and I'm of course looking forward to the next ones to hear. I bring perspectives for and from Europe by the European Writers' Council about writing future, doing right and rights, keeping up the fight in the face of AI on the brink of a new era. Therefore, first I start with a brief introduction of EWC, the European Writers' Council, and myself. Second, I invite you to take a look at the current situation on writing, translating, creativity, and AI. And third, an insight of what EWC is doing. Most important, I will share perspectives with you of what to do and what we can do, envisioning a better future. The European Writers' Council, EWC, is a non-profit, non-governmental federation constituted by 52 national writers and literary translators associations, all over Europe and beyond. EWC members comprise over 250,000 professional authors and translators in the text and book sector, writing altogether in 37 languages and publishing globally in all genres. EWC's mission comprises three main objectives within the European context. Very important: authors' rights, including copyright and related rights, culture policy, cultural exchange. And more of all these details you will find on our website, europeanwriterscouncil.eu, or via our social media. Please reach out, and if you feel, contact us. As EWC's Vice President, I'm fighting together with my colleagues from the board and team for authors' rights and cultural politics. Furthermore, I am a writer, a fiction author, having the experience in our profession. I come also with some background in finance and IT, fundamental knowledge these days in our sector. I am Monika Pfundmeier. I'm driven to find a way supporting and preparing writers and the book market to step into a prospering and smart and financially stable, digital and kind and livable future. So, what now about the current situation about writing, translating, against threats by Gen AI and on democracy? As I am here, standing up for writers and culture in so many ways, and being a writer myself, with a deep understanding of financial mechanisms and IT, I will shine a light on human writing and highlight impacts on us as authors and us as society in concerns of AI. About humans and writing and, of course, human translating. So far, and since ever, we, the humans, shaped the world as it is. with our stories, with our narratives. A lot of what surrounds us, what we see, use, what we have in our hands, like this tablet, or under our fingertips, is invented by creative human minds. Humans created this due to the diversity of our voices, languages, perspectives, and needs. Humans experience the world in a way that is loving and annoying and raging, rejecting, embracing, teaching, criticizing, inspiring, responding, forgiving, imperfectly perfect, full of friction and chaos. And this drives us out of our comfort zone and enables us to grow individually and as society. Sharing human experience, vision, and inspiration in stories, in written stories, like we do this as authors, as human authors. This is what we can and need to relate to. I like to ask you, and I invite you to take up this question and ask it yourself and the people around you as often as possible. Why and how could we ever want to let machines tell us how and who to be, how to perceive our world, how to feel in our physical bodies? There is no such connection for the machines, no understanding how to connect and really relate to each other. So again, why should we want this? Human writing cannot, must not, shall not be substituted by Gen AI. And here I come briefly back on some point from Chris Sturt's speech this morning, and I like to go on this, on writing, because yes, writing is pure magic in our hands. It is a very, very human skill that connects our brains, our hearts, and our hands. Also, I throw in briefly what I took away from David Barry's talk yesterday. We as authors, we really need to find and to have and to strongly defend and mainly our unique human author's voice and human view. Though, of course, I ask you, all of you really, to be careful with the words you have at your hands. Sometimes they're really chumpy, and sometimes they're used in a different way. Anyhow, words matter. I come back a bit later on this point. But in this talk, and to be very clear, and because words matter, I want to clear up when I speak here about AI, I focus on generative AI and more precisely on LLMs, large language models. And when we talk about this and when the perspectives, the spotlight comes towards us authors, we so often hear authors, we are tech-phobic, we are reluctant to new technologies. And I very much like to oppose this because we are creators. We own the one profession which was traditionally always part of frontrunner on innovation and technology. And the reality is, Daniel Adler mentioned it briefly this morning in an intervention, and I agree. We don't see any benefiting of LLMs for mankind so far, especially taking in the high price we are paying for it. So far also, no profitable outcome of all this exploitation that is happening. So, a vast majority of us writers think technical advance is great when it serves humans. And a lot of us are really tech geeks and not only the sci-fi authors. So let me give you a brief side note on my very human path to writing. Once before, when I was a little girl, or not so little, I read some book written by a human. And it spoke to me in a way that convinced me that I could walk this path, that I could also write my story. And I did. I mean, I failed first, and the first texts were horrible, but I stood up again, I evolved and sent out, and I'm still sending out my voice, my perception of the world. And there are human readers, humans who appreciate, readers whom I impact, inspire to aspire some of their dreams. It's humans that can ignite this spark in other humans. And for the next generations, we can also be the role models. We can do this if we take up this task and the responsibility, of course. So, well now, the machines. AI, and yes, we will see probably very awesome and sensible progress in the fields of, for example, medical science or reducing waste, or a lot of issues where AI can help us, where math and calculation weigh strongly. There are practical use cases, and AI can be a great tool and help us. And for some reasons, really, we might need that help. But big tech, I mean, they're mainly awesome in their marketing. And also, they are deeply culture and human phobic. Big tech is not our friend. It's devouring massive resources: water, energy, clear air, democracies, the value of human creativity, human connection, interaction, and the ability to think critically and empathetically. And I'd like to stress also something. I think it's very much overlooked, at least definitely not acknowledged in the most fields I see, that the true value of our work is not the final book at the end or the final piece of art at the end. It's the whole process we're talking about. And this process is made invisible. So it's so much time that's going in, and so much time actually being stolen from us and diminished by big tech. Without authorization, no one ever asked if we agree to this, and we're not getting paid for this, not a fair price, and no remuneration. In any other case, except AI, this is called theft. Using protected work without a license or without a legal excuse. And studies, for example, by Lucky, published in July 2025, or another German study by Dornis and Stober from the end of 2024, show exactly this clearly in contrast to what big tech claims. Big tech very well is competing in the markets with us. They're forcing humans out, offering subscription models to their LLMs and Gen AI products, which are built on stolen work. Again, great marketing. But let's not fall for this. While value is made invisible, while they weakening us, Europe, our democracy and diversity, Laila yesterday pointed out, when it's the case that 5 companies own all human knowledge, that's a huge threat to all of mankind, to us, to our democracy. And big tech is teaming up already with autocratic regimes, getting an even better handle on exploitation and making humans and their uniqueness invisible. If they are successful, we are easier to manipulate, to break, to exploit. Synthetic communication, control, taking away human voices, human empathy, voices of minorities, of critics, of women, of eroding artists, is one playbook chapter of autocrats and dictators leading to fascism. While some individuals are earning the profits, while we all pay the price for danger, misconduct, manipulation, and harm. They take away the taxpayers' money that could be instead invested in education, in culture, in infrastructure, and human-friendly innovation. I mean, definitely, we are on the brink of a new era. And therefore, it's not only to watch what happens. We have to act. The good thing is, still we can act. Though we have to act quickly to change the course of events towards a human-friendly and sustainable direction. But what can we do? What does the European Writers' Council do? I quote here from a film I personally like a lot. Good Fortune, maybe one of you or some other know it. It's with Keanu Reeves, for example, and Sandra Oh and Aziz Ansari. And the quote is, and I feel it also very much, how can we fight gigantic corporations if we're already fighting just to get by, to survive? This feels very, very exhausting. A quick side note here, if already AI had taken over, we would never have had the delight to see a Keanu Reeves or Sandra Oh or any other human artist or author, for example. Wouldn't that be really sad, just to live then with AI productions, with AI slop, mediocrity? And I mean also, what a delight, really, to see humans strive. The second part of the quote I also like to bring here, as it resembles very much with EWC sentiment. We know what's going on the ground. We'd rather be fighting to get more people up. And just to have a little spoiler, it's very helpful to have allies in this fight. EWC, so far, is addressing already members of the parliament. We are in meetings in the parliament. We're in exchange with its committees, yes, cult or jury, participate in working groups, studies or consultations by the European Commission and the European Parliament. Last year, for example, we also participated in the meetings around the General Purpose AI Code of Practice or the Code of Practice on Transparency, or very now against the Digital Omnibus Strategy. We're on this year's evaluation of the copyright in the Digital Single Market Directive, amongst many other issues. And we're having a very big flag around the text and data mining. Myself, I will be on Monday in Brussels, also speaking up for authors on a meeting with the CULT committee. EWC is conducting surveys like the one Anne mentioned yesterday in her greeting. We do this to help defend and improve our situation, the author situation in Europe, to, of course, get an overview and also to give you data to give you facts to defend what you need for authors from your governments. Of course, for the media, EWC is also a valuable partner and a valuable resource for some backgrounds. We do a lot, we are active a lot, we are very motivated, we are also often overworked and underfinanced, how it is for the good cause. And sometimes it's very hard when we're forced to witness heavy attacks from the big tech companies, which are financially way stronger than we are. But we see the results and we see successes, and that keeps us moving. So big tech is really very hard trying to undermine European regulations that are meant to protect humans. They do this while gaslighting the fact that history very, very clearly shows mankind managed way bigger leaps and more sustainable innovations, often due to implementing laws to protect humans, or like overcoming deadly diseases by regulating water, or implementing, for example, one of my favorite examples, the safety belt in cars. Well, anyways, of course, we have to really defend that there is a protection for authors and a regulation that takes care of our situation. And here we are standing and we are alert. We are defending our position on our art principle, which means authorization. First, authors have to consent if their work is used in any kind of LLM. There has to be a remuneration in an appropriate and adequate way, with acknowledging the whole process it takes in drafting and crafting any piece of work. And transparency is definitely needed about what's in the machine, how it's used, and where the money's going. That's the European Writers' Council's perspective. We do a lot. We like this. And also, to say this, I myself still always have the question, what else can I do as individual? And as I perceived in some earlier session, there was also the question, what can we do as authors? So first, and very urgent, it is for authors and for everyone to get informed and not sold on the marketing pitch about AI. Please don't fall for the competition, who is better. I mean, we are humans. Why go into the competition? Second, we have to ask ourselves and our fellow humans, why do we want or need AI in culture and art? How do we use it? Who is hurt when we use it? Who, for real, earns the money? And most of all, when and why, and I also heard this today in the audience, why did people decide that good enough, that mediocrity or less would be enough? It's a real bizarre strategy to use AI when it would only become good enough. So, we have to remember, there is no need and no law written in stone that orders you. You have to break the things that are already there while moving fast. Or every change has to be disruptive and destructive and destroying lives and society. That's really just some bullies saying. We have all this knowledge at our hands. We have so much information. We can decide to take care of what we value, like defending our skills, understanding, comprehending, connecting, reading, forming an own thought and own voice. With all this knowledge in the palm of our hands, at the tips of our fingers, we can do better. And who, if not we, authors? So back to what can we do? And the situation I very much understand because I feel this myself. And it's okay to feel overwhelmed and afraid. But don't let your fear take over. Don't obey in advance. The really difficult part is actually just to decide where to start. Shortly quoting Timothy Snyder, who's an American historian, do something, anything. So, do it, even if it's just a small thing like, for example, EWC offers an AI toolkit. You can find it on our website and use it. Educate yourselves. Connect with other humans in real-life connections. Get informed, be informed about what's already here. What always is awesome and rewards you very much, buy books of human authors, published by responsible publishers in local bookshops. And a very, very brief side note, these days, thousands of AI books are uploaded to Amazon every day, often not recognizable to the buyer. So please be aware where you buy your books. Avoid shopping at companies that support fascism, support voluntary and writers' organizations. We're very grateful for that. We stand up for authors' rights. We really do help, and it's way more efficient if we are more people, if there are more doing the work. Also, the more members we have, the bigger our impact. Politicians really like big numbers. Who would have known? Join writers' unions, writers' organizations, exchange with your colleagues about your rights, your rightful income, how your book is used or can be used, or what you can really oppose in the issue of AI. And if you use AI, do it in a responsible way and be aware of how much resources you burn down by doing this. Please be aware, big tech will use your work and stories first to exploit you, then to replace you. Doing all this, still the question, how to vision a better future? What's the vision? To have a little spoiler, I don't have it perfectly. I'm working on that. But I know the way we thrive is in human plurality. And our way to connect for real as humans, to take care of our human relationships, to experience our mistakes and having the chance to learn from them. That's the process we grow. The path to evolve is to protect humans, human individuality and diversity, human livelihood and culture. That is what we should fight for. We grow from and through imagination, from the exchange with other humans. This can be challenging, especially before the first coffee in the morning, but we do grow from friction and by stepping out of our comfort zone. There never has been growth by trading away our ability to think for earning a fancy, shining new gadget that someone offers. Authors, translators, each of us, we are really many. We can do something, and 1 million small deeds is quite a huge number. We do have power by being human and standing solidly with humans, having a say about AI and the impact on us is in our hands, not there somewhere in a distant tower of politics. But we need to use this power. So we decide what our future lives and society can and shall look like. Of course, it's not easy, but nothing good ever came from easy. Change won't happen overnight, but if we quit, it will not happen at all. I'm certain AI can be a tool and an ally if it supports humans, and there are people willing to find ways to use the technology in a good way. But we mustn't let it seduce us, replace or rid away our ability to use and sharpen our brains. We mustn't limit ourselves already in obeying in advance, or we miss out on what good and exceptional can be created by humans and can come to life. I state here, Ceterum censeo, for our future as mankind. We must dream big and with a very wide and open gaze to the limitless horizon. Doing this, reality can follow with a wider range of possibilities. Let's come together, let's organize better, let's decide to do the right thing, not the financially beneficial thing that burns down our lives and planet. Let's act supporting humans for human writing, creativity, innovation, growth for free and democratic Europe that can evolve more and more into reaching the goals of equality, justice, stability, and safety. Like here, right now, coming together. Each of us with our deeds, with our words. As words are the first thing to touch one soul and mind. Our mind is the architecture of our attitude and actions and the world we want to live in. So let's do this with courage, as courage creates future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Monika, for the insightful talk and the radicalized approach towards what we can do. Ακούσαμε συγκεκριμένες προτάσεις, ακούσαμε ένα περιβάλλον και μια κατεύθυνση που μας δίνει και το Ευρωπαϊκό Συμβούλιο για τους συγγραφείς. Έχουμε λίγο χρόνο, έχουμε βγει λίγο εκτός χρόνου, οπότε να δεχτούμε μια ερώτηση από τον Δημοσθένη και να απαντήσουμε.
Από τον Δημοσθένη. Α, ναι, συγγνώμη.
Να πω καταρχάς ότι νομίζω πως αυτή ήταν η πιο ανθρώπινη και ιδεαλιστική ομιλία που ακούσαμε αυτό το διήμερο και είναι ιδιαίτερα σημαντικό ότι ήρθε από μια συγγραφέα βεβαίως, η οποία όμως και άνθρωπος της πράξης ως αντιπρόεδρος του European Writers Council. Ήθελα να ρωτήσω όμως το εξής. Είναι γνωστό ότι αρκετοί από τους ανθρώπους που κατέχουν τις μεγάλες εταιρείες τεχνητής νοημοσύνης, στην πραγματικότητα όλοι, αλλά μερικοί από αυτούς το έχουν δηλώσει κιόλας, ότι είναι αναφανδόν εναντίον της δημοκρατίας. Θεωρούν ότι η δημοκρατία τους εμποδίζει με τις ρυθμίσεις τους να περάσουν με τα μεγαλεπίβολα σχέδιά τους. Αυτοί οι άνθρωποι έχουν το μακρύ τους χέρι στο Ευρωκοινοβούλιο και βεβαίως και στις περισσότερες ευρωπαϊκές κυβερνήσεις μέσω των λόμπι τους. Θα ήθελα να μας πει η Μόνικα 2-3 πράγματα για την εμπειρία της από τη μάχη με αυτά τα λόμπι και εάν είχατε και εκεί επιτυχίες.
We encounter the politicians not the lobbyists from the big tech, but we encounter directly the politicians. We work together with other artist organizations also to do this. We also in our countries target is a word I actually, well, we also reach out to our individual governments to make them aware about the author situation. As I mean, it's not only we're writing books and they're standing idly in some shelves. We are paying taxes, so we are paying those representatives, and we have the right to do so. And I can also just encourage you to find together and again to organize and to address your politicians in a way, because if you do this, it's also easier to do this for us on the European level. So especially the last years, we do tremendous work there. Nonetheless, we are just a few, and they have hundreds of lobbyists there. But we see we see our network growing, and we see the impacts we have. And we're very happy I mean, sometimes we're very depressed because the media is telling us, oh my God, all is going down. It's not that bad, because on a more individual level, there are really politicians and decision makers who have a way more open view on what's about the lives of the people.
Just a question with regard to the EVC's position regarding the payment of the authors. You said the large language model companies should pay for having used the books. Would this be a one-time payment, and would it be like for each model individually, or would it be like for each use of the book? What is the position there?
So the very first of all is the authorization. So our attempt on this would be really that they are not allowed to use our books before we haven't consented to it. This is at the very moment more going into they using it as long as no one says you're not allowed to use this. But that's definitely the first step. And then about the remuneration, it has to be appropriate, it has to be fair, definitely. We're thinking more about licensing models, so not only a one-time use and that's it, but a lifetime remuneration on this in case we really agree. Still, it's a thing of how good we get organized and where our lever is on this. If everyone individually falls for some breadcrumbs, then it's a bit harder than, on the other hand, having thousands of authors behind you who kind of tell how the terms have to be on this. But we really like to recognize the value of the process of work, of the lifetime, of the research that is going in, and not only the price of a book that's remunerated. That's ridiculous.
So I have a couple of very quick questions. One is, what about journalists and people? I mean, lots of producers of the written word are not exactly authors or published authors or translators. They're journalists and they work in the media and so on. So what is their role for EWC? Question one. Question two is, it could sound as if your demand would be, if there's fair payment for the work that we've put in, then we're okay. But most of the rest of your talk was, no, it's not okay. So it's not enough maybe we shouldn't even demand payment, because demanding payment and receiving payment puts us in a situation of being subjects of the industry.
Yeah, thank you very much, Daniel. So the first position was about these journalists. So we are working very closely also with journalist organizations. They have their own also on the European level. So that's a very close ally for us. partially there are also journalist members in author organizations, because some do also both works, and especially on the international level, on the world level, concerning copyright. There's a super close working allyship with it due to the speaker of IFRO, which also comes about copyright issues, and there is kind of it's not right if I say it's an equal concern, that's not it, but we are exchanging here very, very closely. So that's the one thing, and yes, definitely we want more, and we want to go definitely also for more. We have, on the other hand, also limited resources, and we have to see what's good enough for now and then do the next step on this. But we are very aware of the very recent developments all the time, taking this in and what's happening. And so it's not only if there's happening something like the Anthropic case, which is definitely a good sign, but it's, like you said, a bit critical if you just take the money, because then your claims are gone. Yeah, so step by step.
Okay.
Thank you very much,
Monika.